In the dense jungles of Vietnam, a silent and deadly predator lurked, not an animal, but a horrifying booby trap. As if the fog of war, the hostile terrain, and the relentless enemy were not enough, soldiers had to contend with the chilling presence of the bamboo pit viper, a venomous snake skillfully employed by the Viet Cong to bring terror to their adversaries. The bamboo pit viper, an indigenous serpent of Southeast Asia, was one of the deadliest weapons in the Viet Cong's arsenal. With its green scales providing perfect camouflage amidst the lush foliage, this snake was virtually invisible until it was too late. The Viet Cong, capitalizing on this stealth, turned this living creature into a lethal trap, a terrifying embodiment of their guerrilla warfare tactics. The implementation was as simple as it was effective. The Viet Cong would capture these vipers and strategically place them where they knew their enemies would be. Packs left by soldiers, hollow bamboo stems, even branches at face height, all became potential hiding spots for these venomous creatures. To the unsuspecting soldier, these seemed like ordinary parts of the environment until the viper struck, injecting its deadly venom. This wasn't just an act of utilizing the environment, it was a calculated move to psychologically torment the enemy, to make them fear every step, every touch, every moment in the treacherous jungles. The bamboo pit viper trap was more than a physical threat. It was a psychological weapon, sowing seeds of terror that would germinate into paranoia, making the enemy question their every move. The bamboo pit viper trap was a deadly reminder of the Viet Cong's ingenuity and ruthlessness. It highlighted their willingness to use every resource at their disposal, no matter how unconventional, to defend their homeland. This trap was a testament to their resolve, their adaptability, and their sheer audacity in the face of an overwhelmingly powerful enemy. During World War II, the Nazis turned the mundane into the terrifying with their use of explosive booby traps. In an effort to halt and dispirit the advancing Allies, the Nazis employed a form of psychological warfare that was as cunning as it was deadly. They ingeniously concealed explosives in the most ordinary, everyday objects, transforming the commonplace into potential death traps. Imagine walking through an occupied town, every step fraught with danger, not from the enemy soldiers but from the seemingly innocent items strewn around. A discarded piece of furniture, a casual stack of books, a harmless can of peas, any of these could be a ticking time bomb waiting to explode at the slightest touch. One particularly audacious plot involved the British royal family itself. Nazi spies concocted a plan to target Buckingham Palace using exploding cans of peas. Yes, you heard that right, cans of peas. The everyday food item was intended to be a deadly weapon, designed to cause chaos and demoralize the enemy. This strategy wasn't just about the physical damage these booby traps could cause. The real terror lay in the unpredictability, the constant tension of not knowing where the next explosion might come from. It was a game of Russian roulette where the stakes were life and death. The Nazis also used these booby traps to protect strategic locations. Spots that seemed safe for cover could be rigged with explosives, causing unsuspecting Allied soldiers to walk into lethal traps. This added another layer of complexity to the Allies' advance and further slowed their progress. The Nazis' use of explosive booby traps brought an added layer of fear and uncertainty to an already horrific war. In the face of such tactics, it wasn't just about fighting an enemy, it was about surviving a landscape where danger lurked in the most unexpected places. Flags, symbols of pride and identity, became instruments of death in the hands of the Viet Cong. The Viet Cong during the Vietnam War used every available resource to their advantage, turning even their own flags into deadly weapons. The Viet Cong were known for their ingenious yet horrifying booby traps. Among these, the flag trap stands out for its sheer audacity and psychological impact. Imagine a soldier seeing a flag of the enemy, naturally goes to pull it down, only to trigger a deadly explosion. This was the reality for many during the Vietnam War. The Viet Cong rigged their flags with explosives, turning them into lethal traps. The unsuspecting soldier, in the act of capturing what they thought was a symbol of victory, would instead meet a tragic end. These flag traps were not only physical hazards but also tools of psychological warfare. In the heat of battle, soldiers are trained to capture enemy flags, a tradition dating back centuries. It's a symbol of victory, of conquering the enemy's territory. But the Viet Cong turned this symbol of pride and accomplishment into a deadly trap, instilling fear and paranoia among enemy ranks. By exploiting such a deeply ingrained military tradition, the Viet Cong managed to cast a shadow of fear over a simple act. The sight of an enemy flag, instead of inciting a rush of victory, would foster a sense of dread. Soldiers had to second-guess every move. Every seemingly harmless object could be a potential death trap. This was the true horror of the flag trap. It wasn't just the physical danger it posed, but the psychological torment it inflicted. The Viet Cong's flag traps blurred the lines between victory and defeat, between courage and fear. They turned a symbol of national identity and pride into a harbinger of death and destruction. The flag trap was a chilling example of the Viet Cong's psychological warfare tactics. In the grand scheme of war, it was a stark reminder that not all battles are fought with bullets and bombs. Some are fought in the mind, turning symbols of pride into symbols of fear. The Viet Cong's use of secondary booby traps and hidden mines added a terrifying twist to an already dangerous battlefield. In the humid jungles and murky swamps of Vietnam, the ground beneath your feet was not always what it seemed. A false step could trigger a hidden mine, sending a deadly hail of shrapnel into the air. The Viet Cong, a resourceful and ruthless enemy, transformed the very terrain into a deadly weapon. They used their intimate knowledge of the land to conceal these traps, making them virtually undetectable. These hidden mines could be anywhere, under the soft mud of a rice paddy, beneath the leafy carpet of a jungle path, or even within the seemingly safe confines of a captured enemy bunker. But the Viet Cong didn't stop at hidden mines. They introduced a horrifying innovation: secondary booby traps. Imagine, if you will, a soldier triggering a trap. His comrades rush to his aid, only to trigger a second, hidden trap designed to catch those who come to help. This double trap technique created a constant state of fear and uncertainty. It was a psychological weapon as much as a physical one, eroding the morale of the enemy and making them question every step they took. The Viet Cong's traps weren't always explosive either. Sometimes they were as simple as a pit filled with sharpened bamboo stakes, camouflaged to blend in with the surroundings. Other times they were complex contraptions involving tripwires and crossbows, but regardless of their form, their purpose was the same: to kill or maim the unwary, to slow the enemy's progress, and to instill a pervasive sense of fear. The use of these secondary traps and hidden mines demonstrated the relentless and brutal strategy of the Viet Cong. Their battlefield was not just a physical space, but a psychological one as well. They turned every potential sanctuary into a potential death trap, every moment of respite into a moment of terror. In the end, the most terrifying aspect of these booby traps was not their lethal potential, but the constant fear and uncertainty they instilled. This was the true horror of the Viet Cong's secondary traps and hidden mines. The use of secondary traps and hidden mines demonstrated the relentless and brutal strategy of the Viet Cong. In response to the Viet Cong's brutal traps, the United States implemented a cunning and deadly tactic of their own: Project Eldest Son. This ingenious, albeit chilling strategy was a psychological warfare operation conducted during the Vietnam War. The primary aim of Project Eldest Son was not to physically harm the enemy, but to seed doubt and fear in their ranks. The method was simple yet effective. The United States would plant ammunition booby-trapped with high explosives into enemy ammunition caches. These booby-trapped rounds were designed to explode when fired, causing the weapon to malfunction, often with lethal consequences for the user. The damage inflicted was not only physical but psychological as well. The fear of a potential explosion with every trigger pull was intended to sow discord and mistrust among the Viet Cong forces. It was a mind game, and the United States played it ruthlessly. The effectiveness of Project Eldest Son was not measured in body counts, but in the paranoia it induced among the enemy ranks. It was a strategy that blurred the lines between physical and psychological warfare. It was not about the number of casualties caused, but about the uncertainty it created in the minds of the Viet Cong soldiers. The exact impact of Project Eldest Son is hard to determine. The operation was classified, and the details remained a closely guarded secret for many years. However, it is believed to have been successful in its goal of sowing doubt and fear. The strategy played on the inherent danger of warfare, turning the Viet Cong's own weapons against them. It was a grim reminder that in war, the mind can be as much a battlefield as any piece of land. Project Eldest Son was a chilling example of the lengths nations would go to in order to gain the upper hand in war. It was a testament to the fact that in the theater of war, fear and doubt can be as lethal as bullets and bombs. The use of booby traps in warfare is a chilling testament to human ingenuity and ruthlessness. The world of warfare is a stage where the most horrifying spectacles of human inventiveness are displayed. It is a grim theater that has seen the deployment of some of the most terrifying booby traps, each one a testament to the depths of fear, cunning, and destruction that humans can sink to. From the bamboo pit, viper traps of the Vietnam War, to the exploding objects of World War II, the flag traps, the secondary booby traps and hidden mines, and the United States Project Eldest Son, we've journeyed through the annals of history, unearthing the chilling realities of warfare tactics. Imagine the terror of the bamboo pit viper trap, a venomous snake hidden in a pack or a hollow bamboo stalk, or worse still, tied to a branch at face height. You can't see it, you can't hear it until it's too late. A sudden strike, a sharp pain, and the realization that you've been fatally injured. Then there were the exploding objects of World War II. The Nazis, in a display of ruthless ingenuity, planted explosives in everyday objects, even in places that seemed safe for cover. Imagine the horror of picking up an innocuous can of peas, only to have it explode in your hands. Flags, generally a symbol of pride and unity, were turned into deadly traps by the Viet Cong. The sight of an enemy flag, usually a call to victory, became a harbinger of doom as they were rigged with explosives. The very act of pulling them down, a symbol of conquering, could result in grievous casualties. The Viet Cong didn't stop at primary traps. They employed secondary booby traps and hidden mines designed to lure in and harm more people. The fear and paranoia these instilled were as damaging as the physical harm they caused. In response, the United States implemented Project Eldest Son, a tactical move where ammunition was booby-trapped with high explosives and then sneakily placed into enemy caches. The resulting unexpected explosions caused not just physical damage but also a deep psychological impact. The psychological impact of these traps cannot be understated. They fostered an environment of constant fear and suspicion. Every step could be your last, every object could be your undoing. This relentless psychological pressure often proved as damaging as the physical injuries inflicted by the traps themselves. The legacy of these tactics continues to impact modern warfare. Booby traps remain a cheap and effective method to harass and demoralize the enemy, to slow their advance and inflict maximum damage with minimal resources. They continue to be a horrifying testament to the ruthlessness of conflict and the depths to which humanity can sink in the pursuit of victory. These horrifying booby traps serve as a stark reminder of the depths of fear and destruction that humans are capable of inflicting upon one another.